Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part 2 of ranking the 2024 GoodReads Choice Award nominees in the category of romance. This is going to be a 4-part series, so if you haven't seen the first one, make sure you go back and watch the first part. I'll add a link to it in the description below. Just as a reminder, there are 20 books on the nominee list, and so we're going through and we're ranking them how I think they should have been ranked from 1st to 20th place. Just as a reminder from last week's video, this is how our ranking list is looking thus far. And as this series goes along, we're going to continue to build on this list. So let's get into it. I'm about halfway through The Rom-Commers by Katherine Center. This is the second book that I've read by her, and so far I'm really liking this one. Similar to the other book that I've read by her, The Bodyguard, a big trope in this one is forced proximity, which is always fun. In this story, we're following Emma. She has always dreamed about being a screenwriter, but due to some unfortunate circumstances, she had to put her dreams on hold. But she's been presented with the opportunity of a lifetime, a ghostwriting gig with one of Hollywood's biggest screenwriters. Although something I'm not sure that I'm liking about this one is how mean Charlie is to Emma. He definitely doesn't hesitate to say what's on his mind, and I don't know how I feel about that. So I guess we're just gonna have to keep reading and see how it goes. So I just finished reading The Rom-Commers by Katherine Center, and I did end up liking it. It was really easy to read, and I felt like there was some good character development for Charlie. Even though I still don't really like him as a character, I did enjoy reading this book. I wasn't expecting it to be as heavy as it was. There's definitely some kind of heavy topics that were brought up. I'm really interested in Katherine Center, and I think I want to read more books by her. I'm thinking I'm going to put it above This Summer Will Be Different, but below Funny Story. Hello, it is New Year's Day. I've been painting, working on a paint by number kit that I got for Christmas, and I just finished listening to a love song for Ricky Wilde. And I apologize, I just completely forgot to film a check-in for this one, but this one, it was interesting. Part of it was a little bit silly, and I can't really explain why I thought it was silly without spoiling kind of a big part of the story, so I'm gonna kind of jump over that part. Another thing that I wasn't a huge fan of was this one is definitely like an insta love type of story, which, you know, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's not my personal favorite. I love watching characters fall in love, and you don't get that same feeling with an insta love story, so for that reason, this just wasn't my favorite book ever. The narrators were really good. I was listening to it on Audible, but I'm thinking I'm gonna put this one below The Rom-Commers, but above This Summer Will Be Different. I'm about 40% of the way through Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, and so far I'm really enjoying it. We're following Ada. She's an interior designer from California, and she's been employed by the writers to come and help do the renovations on one of their old buildings that they're wanting to make into a guest ranch. This has been Wes's dream project. He's been trying to get his family on board to do this for years, and he's really excited to finally have this project underway. Something he didn't anticipate, though, was being completely captivated by this interior designer. I'm curious to see how it's gonna go. Ada definitely seems a little bit jaded, maybe has a bit of a chip on her shoulder, so I'm excited to keep reading. So I am in my car on my lunch break, and I learned my lesson from last time, and I turned off my car, so hopefully this sounds better than the last time I did a check-in on my lunch break. But I just finished Swift and Saddled by Lila Sage, and I liked it. It was cute. In my head, I was thinking it was like a reverse Grumpy Sunshine, where she's the grump and he's the sunshine, but then when I went on GoodReads to leave my rating, I saw a review where someone called them a black cat golden retriever couple, and I thought that was absolutely adorable and also super accurate. One thing that I thought was a little bit of a bummer is I was expecting a little bit more talk about the mental health struggles that were mentioned, but I kind of felt like it was just glossed over, so that was a little bit of a bummer. But overall, I thought this one was a super cute read. I'm really excited to read the next book in this series, but for this one in particular, I'm thinking I'm going to put it below The Rom-Commers, but above A Love Song for Ricky Wilde. Alrighty, I am about a third of the way into King of Sloth by Anna Huang, and I am just loving this one. I've been a big fan of this series, but I think so far this one might be my favorite. I'm just a sucker for billionaire romances, and even more so when the male main character falls first, and Xavier is just infatuated with Sloane, and I love it so much. I'm super excited to keep reading this one, so I'll check back in with you guys when I finish it. I just finished King of Sloth, and I loved it so much. The character development in Xavier, oh, just amazing, and I just want to be best friends with Sloane. She's such a badass. I really like this one. I've already been a really big fan of this series. This one also dropped a lot of hints about the next book that's coming out a little bit later this year. I'm so excited for that one, and I definitely will be picking that one up when it comes out. I feel like, safe to say, if you couldn't tell based off of my reaction here, this one is taking first place on the list. Hello again. So I'm a little less than halfway through the pairing, and so far it's okay. They're going on a food and wine tour through Europe, and I feel like I'm just not enough of a foodie to truly appreciate all the like descriptions of all the food and drink and everything that they're experiencing. So in that regard, like, it's just kind of meh for me, but it is kind of funny. So far it's only been one perspective, and this is the first book that I've read in a long time that it isn't a dual perspective. I'm kind of curious how things are going to go, so we'll just keep listening and see what happens. Alrighty, so I just finished listening to the pairing, and I did have a correction from my previous clip. I got to the like 50% mark on this book, and it actually switches to Kit's perspective. So the first half of the book is from Theo's perspective, the second half of the book is from Kit's perspective, and I thought that was kind of interesting. Usually for books, if it is a dual perspective, you're kind of going back and forth between the two characters for the entire story, whereas this one, it only switches that one time. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I also realized I didn't do the best job explaining this one. So in this story, we're following Theo and Kit. They are childhood best friends turned into lovers, and they're both really big foodies. They saved up a bunch of money, and they're going on this food and wine tour. It's like 2 weeks long, and they're going to a bunch of different countries in Europe, seeing all the sights, tasting a bunch of food and wine. The only problem is, on the plane ride to Europe, they broke up. The tickets for the tour were non-refundable, but they were able to get a voucher to go at a separate time. Fast forward a couple years, and Theo decides that, screw it, they're going to go on the tour by themselves. It's about to expire next month. They're going to go on the trip. But when they get on the tour bus, the only open seat is next to Kit, and it's the first time they've seen each other in years. So now they're stuck seeing each other daily for the next 2 weeks. I'm not usually a big fan of second chance romances. I've said that time and time again. And I'm also not a really big foodie, so I felt like I wasn't able to truly appreciate all the descriptions of everything that we were getting. So for that reason, this one just wasn't really for me. It was a lot of like food and wine and traveling and different sites, and it seemed nice, but just I was a little bored at times. I did really like the voice actors. Again, I was listening on Audible. I like that they did different accents for all the different characters when they were going different places. That was fun. So I'm thinking for this one, I'm gonna put it above A Love Song for Ricky Wilde, but below Swift and Saddled. Alrighty, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Have you read any of the books that I talked about today? If so, tell me what you thought about them below, and let me know how you're thinking about how my ranking is going so far, if you agree or disagree. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos, and I'll see you guys for part 3 next Sunday. Bye.